your impressions of Nebraska and the problems they face?
Well, they play a lot of different ways. They defend you different ways with man and zone. Tim is an excellent coach, and we coached against him when we were at Marquette, and he was at North Dakota State. And we didn't win, and it was at home, and our guys didn't, at that time, I think, really grasp just how tough that team was at North Dakota State. And they had beaten Wisconsin the year before, so always been an admirer of how he coaches and how good and tough his teams are. And I don't think this one's any different. I think we probably should show our team clips from the journey, you know, when they traveled with him to Michigan to see all the loose ball drills at Michigan, and they're probably doing the same things tonight. So it's one of those things where you've got to come out and establish how you're going to play. We've got to come out and establish the pace and tempo, you know, no matter what they determine they want to do with it. We've got to make sure that we're doing everything possible to push the pace without rushing and turning the ball over. But just, they're versatile. They can do a lot of different things on the perimeter. Gallegos can shoot the ball extremely well. They've got a lot of multi-positional players, which I think is dangerous because it's not, you know, this is a standard 4, this is a standard 3, and we're like a lot like that. I mean, we've recruited to not have a team that's just standardized positioning-wise as well, and I think that's what they look like in that sense. So they're good on the glass. They're getting to the foul line. They move the ball well. They run a lot of different sets. They come out and attack you out of timeouts with whatever matchup they feel is the best one for them. And they play extremely hard.
How much do you use last year's motivation, or is it different because it's a different coach team?
No, I think it's a different. The result is still that we didn't take care of business there. We didn't finish it off. And we allowed them to get momentum back. We allowed them to get the crowd in it. And so that's definitely a part of it. Most of the players are different, with the exception of 2, I think. But the bottom line is that we've got to continue to show growth in everything that we do. I mean, we did from Thursday night to Sunday, and we've got to do it from Sunday to Wednesday. You never guaranteed how you're going to play, but you can certainly guarantee your mindset on how you're going to play and the edge that you're going to bring. And I think that's very important. I think somewhere along the line, those guys, that loss was very, very disappointing to them. It was a very tough locker room, very tough trip home and next day. And I think you remember those things. I don't think it has a lot to do with tomorrow night, obviously, but I do think you do remember those things.
What did you learn about your team with the way they bounced back, played the way they did at Ohio State after such a tough loss?
They moved forward, which was the only way to do it. And I guess I've learned that there's a huge difference between bouncing back and moving forward. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's a whole other thing to have it live out. And if we'd have spent a lot of time, we went through the film, but we also went through what we did so well. I mean, we had probably 35 clips where we were really good in that game, and it was important to see that as well. But I think that they moved forward. They knew they needed to. They did. They corrected the things that we needed to correct from that game in practice, along the same lines of getting ready for Ohio State. And then when that situation we were faced with again, I mean, they handled it. They handled it very well. And the one thing that they took ownership of in that game was doing a better job of taking care of the ball. And certainly making sure that we got the ball inside to get our offense started when we had an option to do it. Sometimes you're going to come down and you're going to have a chance to get to the rim. Sometimes it's going to be a wide open 3, but when there's a chance to get it inside to start our offense, that's a great way to do it. And at the end of the day, we got 81 points out of it.
This might be a question for the players, but the fact that you guys got a split last week but stayed #1 in the AP poll, do you think that allows the team to just kind of understand how much respect that people around the country have?
We haven't talked about that. I mean, yeah, you'd have to ask them. We haven't really talked about the respect aspect. You know, I'm usually showing them where the lack of respect is. And so I haven't really thought about that. And I think it says more about the fact that you go in and you beat a really good Ohio State team at Ohio State. That says something, and I think people do understand too that Illinois is capable, and they've certainly been doing a lot of good things during the year, and that certainly doesn't excuse the way we lost the game, because it wasn't like we came back from down 10 and just lost it at the end. We had a lead. So I think it says probably a lot about how just thinking about it now since you've asked, I think it says a lot about how respected the league is. I think it's just another example of that.
Coach, Christian's leading the Big Ten in three-point field goal percentage. How has he progressed as a three-point shooter?
Is he? I thought Vic was.
Well, no, overall.
Oh, okay.
Overall.
How's he progressed as a shooter?
As a three-point shooter.
Well, he's his career, I think he's a 44.5% career three-point shooter right now. So ever since his sophomore year, it's gone way up. Last year it was way up. And I think it's the shot selection. I think it's the rhythm of it. It's a lot of shooting in practice, a lot. I mean, again, yesterday, today, just a ton of shooting. I think his confidence is there. I think he understands where those shots are. He's gotten better and better at understanding where those shots aren't and when it's time to drive it or make the next pass. But we certainly love getting him spotted up. I always get a kick out of people say, why don't you just put him down at the block? And then you throw out a statistic like that, and I know his career numbers. He's a multi-dimensional, versatile player. It shows you how much I know. I didn't even know he was.
That was his 4-year progression.
Oh, so he's a 42% right now. My numbers are off. It's in the 40s.
Is the Christian you've seen the last couple of weeks, I mean, is that not only the guy that you wanted to see coming into the season, but also, I guess, the guys that scouts wanted to see, I guess?
Well, the consistency is his key. It's consistency of the purpose every day, and that purpose is, there's no question that he had such a great game the other day because of how well he defended. And his aggressiveness was strong, and he was on the defensive backboards, and you know, he hit threes, but they were spread out throughout the game, and he was able to get to the block, and he was actually a little edgy when he didn't get it at the block. I mean, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing because, again, he's such a great free throw shooter, you know. And he right now, I did see this last night. I mean, he's the leading scorer and rebounder in overall in the league right now. You know, of all the guys that are playing in this league when it comes to career points and rebounds, and we need that to continue to take off even more so as we get into this month. And last year in February is when he really made a jump, as did Vic. And right about this time, you know, it was into the 12th game, and certainly Vic's made a big jump, and Christian's made a jump in many areas. But when your team continues to get better throughout the year, especially in the month of February, then you've really got a chance to prosper. And I think Christian's right at the front of the line for that.
How different of a player is he from the one you saw in Birmingham back all those years?
I'd say completely, because he could always score. But he could always rebound, but I think he's really learned the value of defense, what can happen from defense, being able to switch. I mean, we're talking about a guy that, as a sophomore, really had trouble staying in front of some of the bigger guys in our league. And by the end of last year, in February and March, he was guarding point guards. So I think he's seen a real value of how good he can be defensively. There's a value to how much his team needs him. But I think he's seen the value of that and the versatility that we always envisioned him having as a player. I think he's really getting, because when he came, he was athletic, but he didn't really play like a true athlete. And he had his athleticism, he had the body, he had some length, but he didn't get down and play like an athlete all the time. And I think he's gotten better and better at that. He's gotten stronger. Janae has done a tremendous job with him. Everything's gone up for him. Vertical jump, you name it. I mean, it's all gotten significantly better since it's been here. But he's always loved the game, and I think that's something. And he loved the game back in Birmingham, and I think it was always really good, and now it's even grown that much more.
With Cody, Victor, and Christian, after watching the tape of that last game, have you seen three guys not only play as well individually in one game, but also off of each other as well?
Well, that's important, especially, and we need to continue to do more of that. That we put those guys in more and more situations where they're together, in 2- and 3-man situations, especially with the way that Will moves without the ball, the way that Yogi is shooting the ball, and the way that he can get open, and certainly the fact that Jordan's got to be guarded no matter where he's at. Because all three of those guys, you know, Christian's assists aren't up where they need to be yet, and his assist turnover is way too much in the negative. It's got to pick up, but he's looking. You know, he's looking, and he's got to continue to make those drives to score, but at the same time make those drives to look for the open man. Well, Victor and Cody are always doing that. And we want Christian to get to the rim, because he gets to the rim, there's a better chance he's going to get to the foul line. And I think the fact that all three of those guys played the game at the rim, in the mid-range, on the three-point line, even with Cody's ability to drive it from there, because he had some actions that started from the three-point line in his drives, and they really guarded. They set a real tone with the edge that day, and I think that's really important.
Seems like a lot of Christian's threes are as a trailer on the break, especially this year. Is that something you emphasize to your guards, or just how he's?
Well, he's always done that. He's been doing that somewhat since his sophomore, but last year he got a ton of those. So he's as good a trailer as there is in college basketball in my mind. I mean, we felt like that last year. And, I mean, that's how he beat Kentucky. I mean, he was trailing coming. I mean, he really understands where to be on the trail. And I think when we ball screen more, so that gives more this year because of Yogi, and that gives him more of an opportunity to pop or to roll to the post, especially when teams are switching. So maybe his trail break threes may not be as high, but because the ball's moving so much better, we have so much more ball movement, then he's getting it in different areas. But there's no question that an emphasis of trailing is really important on this team, and he's as good as it gets. He's the best trailer I've ever coached, and he's no question about it. And I never look at that. Well, Steve Novak can trail too, but we liked running him to the wing. But for a guy that gets the defensive rebounds that he gets, and then be able to get in that trail position and be able to play through him, it's really important. It's going to carry some weight at the next level for him.
You guys have obviously had some incredibly emotional games back to back here and stuff, and now you're playing a team that I know you can say things about Nebraska, but there would seem to be intensity. This is not like hosting Michigan. Are you concerned at all that this team is going to respond well to that, or are you concerned that tomorrow night, hey, I'm really interested to see how these guys come out and handle it?
Well, I'm always concerned about that. I'm concerned, is our fans going to respond to it the right way? I mean, we're at home tomorrow night. I mean, we haven't been home in a week and a half, and we need to have tremendous energy. And I thought in the Penn State game, it got started too late, with the energy in the crowd, and it's got to start from the beginning. We're down to 4 home games. So I'm concerned about that too. I know we're going to be sold out. I didn't realize till last night we're number 1 in the league in attendance. So I know that's going to be there, but the energy's got to be the best in the country. Well, it's the same thing with our team. If we're really maturing, then we're looking for a lot of different things. We're looking for separation. We're looking for the fact that it is our next game. We're looking for the fact that it's new business, but there's still unfinished business in the sense that we lost down there last year. But most importantly, is one of the last things I just said to him. I mean, the growth of your team is ongoing. I mean, it really is. It's got to be ongoing. And this team, Nebraska, has gone into some environments this year, like Michigan and Michigan State, and played really, really well. And we just showed them the last 5 minutes of the Michigan State game, because it was a game up until really the last minute and a half. And if Nebraska hits a couple jump shots. So, and I'm answering your question this way, you try to show everything that you can that they can see that's real. I mean, because that's real, it's not an edit. But at the same time, their maturity of where they want to go as a team. It's not about playing as well as you played at Ohio State. There's no guarantee that's going to happen. But you can be as locked in, you can be as mentally ready, and you can play with an edge during the game. And then if you do those things, then you got a chance to get better during the game. And that's exactly what we did the other night. So I don't have a clear-cut answer. I know our preparation's not any different. And I know by the time that game starts, they will have a tremendous understanding of what that team can do. And then it's a bottom line of coming out and playing with that edge.
When Nebraska does slow teams down, what makes them good at that? I guess what makes them good at
People don't get up into it. They get to run their pace. They get to play their pace. And they get to dictate. They get to walk it up. They get to run their half-court offense. They get to shoot quick if they want to, but they can also take it down 25, 30 seconds. And that's not how we need to play. And we want to come in here and get after it. We need our fans to be the same way with it. But I think if you look at their scores, they hit a lot of open jump shots in these games. And they've got some excellent shooters. And then they cause some issues in the post. If you get caught behind, or you get caught in a one-on-one back there, and now all of a sudden you got to bring the help, well, they're good enough that they're going to kick the ball out. But I think they come in with a real, they believe they're tough. And I haven't seen anything on film to make me believe that they're not. And so then it's a matter of your team coming in and establishing that they're going to be, we're going to build on our toughness too. And that's the way it has to be. I'm sorry, I missed one in here.
I was just, you mentioned with a new coach and new players, just what are some of the things that Nebraska does this year that they didn't last year and vice versa? How different are they this year?
I hadn't thought about that a lot. They're different players. It's different offense, but they play really hard. I thought Doc Sadler's team played extremely hard. He was turning the corner. I mean, there was no doubt about that. And they brought Tim in, and Tim's just built onto it. So he's done an excellent job with it. But they run different offense. But if I had to pick one thing this year, they have more balance, and they have better outside shooting.
Tom, the compelling nature of almost every Big Ten game, going to overtime, almost overtime. I mean, I know you're immersed in it, so maybe you can't, I don't know if appreciate's the right word, but are you able to get a sense of the compellingness of it, the drama of it, and is that, how tough does that make it, that every game is a war? And it has always been that way, but this year especially seems to be so compelling with every game.
I think I'm aware of it because, like the other day, before practice, I'm working on Ohio State, and I said to the guys that are in the film room, I said, call me when it's the last possession. And I come in to watch it because I knew the score. And then you see that, and I got some incredible drama. And you appreciate it. And I said this the other day on the teleconference, you appreciate the execution of the league. I mean, there's tremendous execution. That's what was so disappointing about the way we played at the end on Thursday, is we didn't keep executing the way that we needed to. And you can't take any shortcuts with that. So I look at it, I don't watch enough of the league away from the games we're preparing for, in the sense of really having a feel for each game, each night. I read all the box scores, and then certainly see enough film when we're preparing for that game. But I think just the respect level of the league, that when you know where everybody's got shot makers, everybody's got rebounders, there's no team in this league. Penn State is as tough and as physical as any team in this league, and they have not won a game yet. I mean, so in answer to your question, that's how I would sum up how excellent this league is. I mean, you have to bring every level of your game. You're not going to always have an A game, but you better bring every level of your game. Because if you think you're going to have a game in this league and you're going to take a night off from rebounding, or you don't think your defense needs to be as good, or you don't need to get to the foul line, or we can win with a bunch of turnovers, I mean, you're probably going to get caught. I mean, anybody in this league can catch you on any given night with that. I don't think that's coach speak. I mean, I think that's playing out. I know there's some different scores, but and then in our case, you got to really fight for your pace, because you've got some teams that absolutely have no interest in making the game go fast. So you have to keep fighting to get that, because that's what works for them. And sometimes that's been good for us, other times it hasn't been good for us. But that's the part of it. You've got to be really good at what you do, because the other schools, they're really good at what they do. And they're committed to it.
Anything else for Coach?
I have one real quick one.
Go ahead.
You've addressed Peter Jerkin's situation to some degree, just saying that you want to do what's best for his health, I guess. What exactly is he dealing with? What's sort of his injury issue, and what are you guys trying to?
Well, I'm not going to be definitive on the injury, other than it's really held him back. There's no question about that, and it's just one of those things we've got to continue to like to bring it to fruition soon, but I'm not sure we can do that just yet. But we'd like to continue to see if he's going to heal to where it could help, but it's getting late, obviously, and it's real late if you don't count the 9 games that he missed. But then it's a little different in that sense. But we're just trying to get him where he's healthy enough, and I think that's been a hard deal. He's got a great attitude. He's getting better, but it's been hard for him to sustain anything really with recovering from some injury.
And I know you're so locked into everything here, but a game like tonight, Michigan State, is that something you can watch?
Yeah, after our meetings, yeah, I'll see some of that, absolutely. I talked to Tom today, and absolutely. I think you never, when you're me, that coach there and then grew up in that state, you always know when that game is. And we've been a part, when I was with him, we were a part of some incredible games with them. But I was shocked that neither team had never been in the top 10 like that. I mean, I'm a little, you know, I didn't realize that till JD hit me with that the other day on our top 10 win on the road and how long it had been. So I didn't realize that till I'd read it. But I think that'll be, that's a fever pitch game. And we got a lot of those here too. But I know exactly what that level is. So I'll probably see the second half of that. All right, thanks.